We need to examine how scientific research gets systematically distorted as it travels from peer-reviewed journals to public headlines. This translation process amplifies uncertainty into alarm and correlation into causation, creating widespread misunderstanding about vaccine safety. The distortion chain works like this. Researchers publish findings using appropriately cautious, nuanced language. University press offices, competing for media attention, write press releases that sensationalize the findings to attract coverage. Journalists, often lacking scientific background and working under deadline pressure, oversimplify complex research into digestible narratives. Social media strips away remaining nuance, selecting for the most alarming interpretation. Viral spread further distills content, with each share potentially adding additional distortion. By the time research reaches most people, it bears little resemblance to the original findings. The OncoTarget paper provides a perfect case study. The original paper was a scoping review of primarily case reports, presenting exploratory findings and explicitly calling for further investigation. Appropriately cautious language permeated the text, may suggest, warrants investigation, further research needed, but headlines screamed vaccines linked to cancer, or study finds cancer surge after vaccination. The journey from tentative preliminary findings to definitive scary claims took mere hours. Why does this happen? Structural incentives drive distortion. Media businesses increasingly depend on advertising revenue tied to engagement metrics. Fear and outrage drive clicks more effectively than nuance. Scientists recommend additional research into potential signal gets ignored. Vaccines may cause cancer goes viral. Journalists face time pressure, often needing to produce multiple stories daily, preventing deep engagement with source material. Science communication training is rare in journalism programs, leaving many reporters ill-equipped to evaluate methodology or contextualize findings. There's also the simplification imperative. Complex research with multiple caveats doesn't fit into tweet length or headline constraints. Something gets lost in compression, and it's usually the caveats, the context, the uncertainty. Hedging language, may, could, suggests, often gets stripped out, transforming tentative findings into definitive claims. Corrections, when they occur, never achieve the original story's reach. A viral false claim might get millions of impressions before being corrected. The correction might reach thousands. Most people who saw the original misinformation never see the correction, leaving false beliefs intact. So what can we do as consumers of health information? First, always find and read the original research, not just articles about it. Press releases and news coverage are unreliable guides to what studies actually found. Check whether journalists consulted independent experts who weren't involved in the research. Outside perspective helps contextualize findings. Look for hedging language. If headlines make definitive claims but the actual research uses words like may, suggests, or could, that's a red flag for distortion. Verify whether headlines match content. Often they don't, with editors writing sensational headlines on stories whose text is more measured. Consider the source. Publications with science journalists who specialize in medical reporting tend to produce more accurate coverage than general assignment reporters covering science occasionally. Sites with clear editorial standards and fact-checking processes are more reliable than content farms optimizing for engagement. Ask yourself, does this finding contradict overwhelming existing evidence? If so, is it being presented with appropriate skepticism and context, or treated as revolutionary breakthrough? Single studies rarely overturn established scientific consensus, but media coverage often treats them as if they do. Finally, recognize that the most viral health information is usually the least reliable. Accurate, nuanced information doesn't naturally go viral. It's not emotionally engaging enough. Alarm and outrage spread like wildfire. So when something about health appears everywhere on social media, treat it with extra skepticism, not less. Better media literacy won't eliminate health misinformation, but it can reduce its impact, helping us navigate information environments designed more for engagement than accuracy.